Right now, that was at the top of her to-do list. When the coffee was ready, Maura carried the 2 cups and a bottle of soda and a glass for Ms. Sulky over to the table. "Anything else I can get for you?" she asked. Mom cleared her throat nervously. "Do you have a moment to sit? We've just got here and we have a lot of questions. Oh, sorry, we haven't even introduced ourselves. We're the Albertsons. I'm Linda, this is my husband Marvin, and that's our daughter Janice." "Janny," the girl muttered without turning around. Maura pulled out a chair and sat, keeping one eye on the door. "Is this your first trip to Ireland?" Linda nodded vigorously. "This is our first trip anywhere out of the country. We're from Indiana." So, somewhere in the middle of the country. Maura herself hadn't left Boston until the year before, and was a little fuzzy on where most states in the U.S. were. "Why did you pick Ireland?" Marvin smiled.
"Well, you speak English here for a start, and I've always heard you people are friendlier than the folks in England. Got a good deal on flights, too, so here we are."
"Any personal connections, relatives?" Maura asked.
"Not that we know of. We just wanted a pretty peaceful place that wasn't too expensive. But we were so busy we didn't have a lot of time to do our homework. Janny's just out of school for the year, and Linda and me, we both have jobs, and we weren't even sure what we're looking for. We knew we didn't want to be in a big city like Dublin, but that was about as far as our planning went."
"You have a place to stay?" Maura asked, although she was beginning to think she knew the answer.
"Nope, never quite got around to finding one. Got any ideas?"
"What are you looking for?" Maura asked. Marv looked confused.
"What are the choices around here?"
"How fancy do you want to go?" Maura asked, hoping part of Marv's answer would include how much they expected to spend. "There are some nice hotels not far from here, and of course the one right across the street, but that's pretty small."
Marv shot a glance at his wife. "I think we want something that feels a little more, well, homey than a hotel."
"How about a B&B then?" Maura suggested. "They usually have only a couple of rooms, but you'll have a host to tell you what to see if you want. If you were planning to stay longer, you could look into a cottage rental. Oh, and I should ask, how do you feel about cows? Because there are a lot of herds around here, and if you don't like the smells or have any allergies, you might want to stay away from the farm B&Bs. "I never thought about the cottage idea," Linda said wistfully. "It would be nice to have someplace private."
"Sure, sweetie, but then who'd we talk to?" Marvin said, glancing at her. "We're here to get to know the place, not to spend our time between 4 walls."
Marvin turned back to Maura.
"We wanted Janny to see a different country before she headed off for college. I love our home state, but it can be a little, well, insulated from the rest of the world."
"I know what you mean," Maura said. "I'd never been anywhere but Boston before I got here last year, and it took some getting used to. But I'm staying."
"Well, that's good to hear. What do you suggest?"
"I think a B&B might suit you. It's kind of private, but there are people around who can help you figure out what's what and how to get there. You okay with the driving on the left?"
"So far. Nice highways. Haven't seen much of the small roads yet."
"Well, they are pretty narrow, but people are usually polite about passing, as long as you pull over to the side as far as you can. There really aren't that many people on the smaller roads anyway. Are you looking for a place for tonight?" When Marvin and Linda nodded like bobblehead dolls, Maura went on. "For how long? And how much are you willing to pay?"
"A week, maybe? We figure on spending 2 weeks in the country, but we might want to try some other parts of it."
He named a figure that Maura thought sounded reasonable by local standards. "Let me check around. Actually, it's still early in the season, people tell me. It doesn't get busy until next month, and even that's not really busy. If you want peaceful, you've come to the right place." Janny gave a deep sigh as she stared out the window. "So why don't you look around, maybe grab some lunch, and I'll see if I can find you a place. 2 bedrooms, private bath?" "Please," Linda said quickly. "Where's good for lunch?" "There are a couple of places right here in Lep. Have you seen Skibbereen yet?"
"That's the next town over?"
Marvin asked. When Maura nodded, he said,
"Nope, not yet."
"Well, there are some good restaurants there, and the hotel near the river. If you're okay with driving, why don't you head that way, find a place to park there, and just walk around until something looks good. It's not too big to walk. Then come back here and check in with me and see if I've found a place."